leader. After 1969, I knew it would never ever be like that again. That was the end for Steve and I.
So the pop star and his mentor parted ways. Now Cat Stevens was finally his own boss, free of his past, free to reinvent himself, and hungry to succeed.
As hungry for it as anyone I've ever met. I think he had to prove something to himself and to his friends and maybe his family.
Stevens chose agent Barry Cross to help him realize his dreams. In him, Cat found someone he felt he could trust.
Immediately, I saw potential in him and he saw potential in me. And I said, look, if you get me a #1, I'll buy you a Rolls Royce.
Within weeks of signing on as manager, Barry Cross arranged for Cat to meet the respected founder of Island Records, Chris Blackwell.
He sat down and, he played me a song. I liked it, it was nice. And he played me another song, and again, it was fine. And then the third song he played was called Father and Son. And I thought, wow, this is incredible, this song.
It's not time to make a change. Just relax, take it easy. You're still young, that's your fault. There's so much you have to know.
Just the way he was just there on his own with acoustic guitar, just playing the songs, singing it. They were complete. They didn't need anything more to my ear.
With Cat Stevens now signed to Island Records, the search was on for a producer to help realize his potential. Chris Blackwell chose ex-Yardbird Paul Samwell Smith.
I could always say, Steve, go and sit and just do the song, vocal and guitar, or vocal and piano at the same time. And that, you can build around that so easily. And that was always, for me, the core of our work together.
Paul and Cat went straight to work, drawing from the dozens of songs that Cat had written while recovering from tuberculosis. Stevens tackled each recording with unbridled passion and intensity.
Steve was a perfectionist in the studio. Having got the take he wanted, would then chase it home till 2 in the morning.
He called the album Mona Bone Jackin'. Released in Europe in April 1970, it gave fans of the former teen sensation their first taste of the pure, poignant sound of the new Cat Stevens.
I think I see the light coming through me.
Those songs in that album were very, very reflective, particularly connected to my search, my awakening, if you like, to my soul, to my identity.
My lady Dabambi, why do you sleep so still?
In August, Lady Darbanville, the album's first single, reached #8 on the UK charts. Still, Cat Stevens was largely unknown in the United States. So Island Records boss Chris Blackwell made a deal with A&M's Jerry Moss to distribute Cat's records in America.
He was a very easy cat. Had been through a bit of it before, so very, very friendly with the record side people. Very easy to develop rapport with.
Then in the fall of 1970, armed with little more than their dreams, Cat and guitarist Alan Davies set out to crack the American rock market.
Nothing could have prepared me for what it was like to land in New York and then 24 hours later be sound checking at the Fillmore East. It was terrifying. We were on the same bill as Traffic. We played for 35 minutes, something like that. Walked off, and the place exploded.
I wish I knew. What makes me me? What makes you you?
Flushed with the warmth of the response from American audiences, Cat Stevens returned to the studio and began laboring on what would become one of the classic albums of the decade.
We then went to work on Tea for the Tillerman, and that took a long time. We were actually in and out of the studio, not all the time, of course, for about 7 months, which was much more like it from my point of view, because I'd heard that Simon and Garfunkel had spent sort of 800 recording hours on Bridge Over Troubled Water. I thought, well, it can't be proper unless you do that.
Then I found myself alone, hoping that someone would miss me.
One of the best moments of my life in the record business was hearing the playback of Tea for the Tillerman. I remember very clearly hearing it and hearing the first track and thinking, wow, this is fantastic. Then the second and the third and the fourth and the fifth. I've never ever heard a record as good as that.
But sometimes you have to moan when nothing seems to suit you. But nevertheless, you're locked towards the future.
Songs like But I Might Die Tonight and On the Road to Find Out, you know, these were songs which were reflecting, I think, a general interest in which was in my generation for more answers than we'd been given.
Cat Stevens was rapidly blazing a trail for the singer-songwriters of the 1970s with his deeply personal lyrics. But it was a more cynical song about hard lessons learned that would mark his biggest breakthrough.
Oh, baby, baby, it's a wild world, and I'll always remember you like a child girl.
The whole idea was very, very clear that, you know, out there is a world which is very, very difficult to understand, and it's not easy, so get ready.
You know, I've seen a lot of what the world can do, and it's breaking my heart in two, because I never want to see you a sad girl. Don't be a bad girl.
On the verge of international stardom, Cat Stevens was about to find out just how wild his world could get.
But just remember, there's a lot of bad hands, beware. One who'll take me for myself.
T for the Tillerman was released in November 1970, and the album established Cat Stevens as one of music's fastest rising stars.
I will need nobody else, no, no, no.
But it wasn't stardom he was chasing. Cat was driven by the music and looked for inspiration everywhere.
I went into a bookshop in the centre of London, Charing Cross Road. Somehow I found myself in the religious department, and then I saw all these hymn books. I said,
It had like the hymn book that we all had at school, Hymns Ancient and Modern, a little small hymn book. And do you know this one? Because he didn't actually know it. He'd worked it out, he'd just read the top line and worked it out, and worked out the chords underneath it. And I said, yeah, that's Morning Has Broken. We used to do that in the infant school.
Morning has broken like the first morning.
Morning Has Broken was just one of the painstakingly crafted gems featured on his next album, Teaser and the Firecat. It was a collection that included soon-to-be classics like Peace Train, The Wind, and Moonshadow.
Yes, I'm being followed by a moonshadow, moonshadow, moonshadow.
Moonshadow, I call, you know, the optimist's anthem, because it looks at life extremely positively.
Moonshadow was one of 3 hit singles off Teaser and the Firecat. The album, released in October '71, topped the charts on both sides of the Atlantic.
I won't have to walk no more.
Oh, Lord. Do not let the...
Then, the 1971 release of the movie Harold and Maude exposed Cat's music to millions in the U.S.
'Cause there's a million things to do.
You know that there are.
Director Hal Ashby used 9 of Cat's tracks to bring his cult classic to life.
And if you want to be me, be me. And if you want to be you, be you.
It was a great mood. Hal Ashby had this weird idea for this film, and I thought it was funny enough, you know, and certainly it was even serious enough to reflect my songs.
His pace was relentless. In just 18 months, Cat Stevens had released 3 hit albums.
I gave my last hope to you. Don't hand it back to me, bitter blue. My bitter blue.
Now, rich beyond his wildest dreams, he fulfilled the promise he had made to his manager.
Please help me lose this bitter blue. My bitter blue.
He walked me into this Rolls-Royce showroom, and they're rather nervous of these people in jeans with their long hair looking at their cars, and we want to get in and sit in one. And a man comes up to Steve and says, you know, son, why don't you go and get your collateral together and come back in a few years? And he looked at the man and said, you know, no, I think I'll get it now. And he bought the car.
Everything in Stevens' life was getting bigger. The money, the venues, the expectations. When his next album, Catch Bullet 4, hit the racks in September 1972, it became an instant bestseller, quickly making its way to #1. Audiences couldn't get enough of Cat.
Oh, I can't keep it in. I can't keep it in. I've got to let it out.
I probably witnessed more natural standing ovations at a Cat